So with all of that, I'm going to talk with you a little bit about the requirements of participation. Dina mentioned some eligibility requirements. I'm going to dig in a little bit more to what we expect. And I just want to be really upfront about something. First Forward is not an opportunity to make money. We get a lot of questions on how much is this going to cost? We have done everything we possibly can to keep any financial resources needed for First Forward at a minimum. We actually provide you with some funds as a part of the process as well. And so please, if that's worrying you a little bit, please hopefully take that off your plate for right now. We want finances that you have to stay at your institutions to support first-gen students and really try to do a good job to support you in these efforts. The screen that you're seeing here is directly off the First Forward website. Each of these plus signs, the green plus signs down the side of the page here, open up to additional information about each of these. And we're gonna be walking through these as Dina helps me move through the slides. So one of the most important parts of your engagement and one of the requirements of your engagement in First Forward is to send members of your community. These are 2 or more, and we do our best to accommodate a few more from each institution, but at least 2 faculty or staff members to the First Forward workshop. The First Forward workshop for 2020 will be on June 28th, and it will be held just before the kickoff of the First Generation Student Success Conference in Baltimore, Maryland. So we have a one-day workshop on Sunday. The conference kicks off on Monday. The workshop is free to selected First Forward institutions, and it does not have to be specific people from your institution. And we understand people have to work with orientation. People have summer bridge programs. People have vacation. It's just 2 people engaged in your first generation efforts. We have a full day workshop. The workshop is free, and we actually provide you with a small travel stipend to offset costs. So right now it's about $300. It's really dependent upon how many total institutions we select this year. But you're welcome to come. We provide you with some additional costs to help get you there for the day. And we actually provide most of the meals for that day as well. So it's not a huge cost for you. One thing to be clear about, we also would love for you to stay for the First Gen Conference, and we guarantee First Forward institution members the early bird registration rate for the conference, but you are not required to stay. So you could just come for the one day. For some of you, it might be really close. For others of you, it might be a little bit of a haul to get there with us. During that workshop day, we have keynote speakers, we engage in professional development, we work on goal setting for the year. It's an opportunity to meet your regional community in person. It's an opportunity to meet the full cohort. And then actually this year, since we have a current cohort, many of our currently engaged First Forward institutions will also be there to be a part of the workshop and engage more. Dina, once you're selected, Dina certainly provides additional information, but again, free workshop. This would be on June 28th in Baltimore, Maryland, the day leading into the First Generation Student Success Conference. This is a requirement if your institution is selected. The other thing that we ask of you is that you are actively engaged in your regional communities. We want you to have engagement in the monthly phone calls, to participate. We don't do them every single month. We know that there are holidays. We know that many of you might be traveling in March, say for the NASPA annual conference. And we work with the regional communities to help them determine when they're going to be having their calls. You all decide what the best times are for you. And this, as Dina mentioned earlier, is an opportunity for greater engagement. I'll give you a great example. Our friends up at the University of Rochester, First Forward Institution, they have sometimes 10 or 12 people join their calls each month because that's their entire steering committee and working group around First Gen, and they want to be engaged in the conversation. So it doesn't have to just be you thinking, oh gosh, I've got to do this every month. We want you to engage your colleagues, to use this community as a place to ask questions, to troubleshoot, and to lead some conversation about the good work that you're doing. So that's another of the requirements. As I mentioned earlier, at the workshop that we host in June as the kickoff to First Forward each year, we do walk you through a brief goal setting exercise. We provide you with details on that prior to your arrival, so you have some time to think about your institution, to think about what your colleagues may be working on, to partner with them, to do some SWOT analysis before you arrive. And I'll tell you, one of the things that came out of the First Forward conversations last year were they just never have enough time to sit down and think about these things. And it was so nice to have a space provided to just sit and think. And when I had a question, I was sitting in a room of experts who could answer questions, could help me troubleshoot. Many institutions brought a number of colleagues so they could actually use the time to work and process together. We then use that goal setting exercise with you later in the year toward the end of your first year in the program as an opportunity again to create that brief annual report. We provide you with those goals again to say, how's it going? What's it look like? How are things progressing along? And then how do you share that with your senior leaders on your campus? We want that to be a way for you to gain some momentum and some resources for your programs. One of the other requirements of First Forward is to engage in professional development. And really, we want this to be professional development in a couple of different ways. Professional development that is not only beneficial for you and maybe your colleagues who are digging deep into this first generation conversation, but also an opportunity for you to provide first generation professional development within your campus communities. Just about every month, the center offers a new live or on-demand professional development opportunity. You'll see a couple examples here. We have online live briefings or on-demand events on a multitude of topics, from navigating jargon in your communities, creating cross-divisional partnerships, shoestring budgets and how do you use those, imposter syndrome, mentoring programs, lots and lots of opportunities, how to build a steering committee, faculty in first gen. We ask that during the course of your first year in First Forward, you find an opportunity to engage with 3 of these. We provide a significant discount on the cost of these. These are one of the only things that they actually incur cost as a part of First Forward. You receive a significant discount, and we already keep the price on these pretty low. And then also a little insider knowledge, we run a couple sales as well. And so you could actually do this for a really affordable opportunity. I think, Dina, they shake out to being like around $69 for First Forward institutions. And what we encourage you to do is, one, watch them yourselves, get to know the information, share with your colleagues. We really encourage you to host brow bag lunches or gatherings for faculty and staff. You might be interested in learning more, or maybe you're trying to build some support in your community. You can use these as opportunities for education over the course of the year. And we have new opportunities coming out all the time. We have a number kind of in the hopper right now that we're getting ready to release. So lots of good opportunities there for you as well. As I mentioned earlier, you have an opportunity to create a blog for the center's website. We provide you with a template. It's pretty short. You'll see a couple of examples here. We just released our most recent blog from Florida Atlantic University, and the topics are really up to you. It's what may be working well at your institution. It might be a personal perspective on what it means to be first generation and a student affairs professional or a faculty member, or first gen professional working with first gen students, and what has that been like for you? A lot of what we've seen so far have been just sort of a deep dive into the good things that are happening in institutions. We then again provide you with a link to these that you can use within your communities to draw some attention to the work that you're doing.